Today's gospel is the rich man and Lazarus, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. Rich man who dressed in purple every day, dined sumptuously, lived this very comfortable life in a palace. Right outside his door is this poor man, Lazarus. They both die. Lazarus ends up in the bosom of Abraham in the kingdom of heaven, and the rich man is in the abode of the dead. And that gospel makes a great point. It's not that the rich man's wealth is inherently sinful. It's that he chose not to see his brother. That this man was lying right outside his door, and his wealth and his self-concern blinded him from even seeing the man there in need. Reminds us that part of conversion is all about vision. What do we see? I'm often struck when I'm not driving and I'm sitting in the passenger seat going down a road that I drive every day, let's say, and I see things that I never have seen before. Because when you're driving, you're just focused on the road and you don't see necessarily what's around you. But it reminds me that we can drive past something, we can pass someone, we can be in the presence of someone, on a constant basis and never really see them. And not see them as God sees them, certainly. Not see them with the heart. So the sin of the rich man is not that he's rich, but it's that he chose not to see. Lazarus' poverty doesn't necessarily make him holy, but oftentimes poverty and need opens us up to our radical need for God. I certainly experienced that when I did mission work in the Dominican Republic. That God, in the end, can only work with us to the extent that we acknowledge our need and our poverty. To the extent that I think I'm self-sufficient and don't need anyone else, to that extent I'm going to be shut into my own world. So the scripture says there's this great chasm, this great divide between the abode of the dead and heaven. I think we could plausibly argue that the rich man created that chasm, that divide in this life by closing himself off from the reality and the needs of his brothers and sisters. The season of Lent then is a time for us to ask the Lord to transform our vision, that we can truly see with the eyes of the heart, see with the eyes of the heart of Jesus, and recognize our brothers and sisters, and ultimately recognize the glory of God.